as you're coming in today for Trans Day of Visibility, we have a special guest and a supporter and dear friend of mine, Charlie Gilbert. He will be coming in and speaking today for TDOV. So, it's going to be an amazing live that I hope everybody watches and listens to, so we can all be educated, learn, and listen. I think it's important that we, listen to what the trans community has to say and what they go through on a daily basis. And Charlie also has a story of his own. And there he is. So let me grab Charlie and we will start. You're not late. I started early.
Hi,
Hey, how you going? How how are you? How's it going?
I'm fine. I was trying to fix a light, so I'm a bit late, but I'm good
You're
now.
not late. I started early. You're not late.
I'm hoping I'm gonna have enough charge on my phone. If not, I'm gonna charge it later.
Yeah, no problem. So, how are you?
Fine, very good lately, so
Good.
yay.
That's awesome. Thank you for being on our live today and coming to speak to help everybody gain knowledge, and learn on Trans Day of Visibility. It's such an important topic that needs, obviously, of course, more than one day, but there's no reason we can't highlight it. But I think it's important to stress that we be having these conversations all the time. And I know you have quite the story, and we also will take questions. You guys can send them as we're talking, but I know you like to educate people, share your story of what you've gone through, and so on. So I'm gonna let you take that away.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very happy to be doing this. So yeah, I think I like to educate people, but it depends. I first created my Instagram just for myself, more like a diary, a way to go back and look and say, wow, I've gone through this, I've changed. Uh, but then it started to help other people the way that people I used to follow helped me. So I thought, why not keep going? And then I got a few complications concerning top surgery, which made things more complicated for me. And in the beginning, I was a bit ashamed to share because I didn't see anything like this before. Even though I used to like look around on the internet and all. Um, so I still decided to share, and I got a lot of love and support, which it's a bit surprising because I mean it was huge to share something like this, but seeing that people now start to talk about their own top surgery, the way it was like basically screwed up by surgeons, and just a lot of support around. It helps a lot, and I like that, but it's not something I want to do every day now. Um, I mean, I'm going to be trans always, but I want to be an actor. I want to be a screenwriter. Um, Being trans is a part of who I am, but don't want people to see me as that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to be seen, if I'm wrong, you're saying you just want to be seen as everybody else. You don't want to be seen as you want to, help people gain knowledge and understanding, but at the same time, it seems like you also want to be seen as just any other human being and not as different, and to be kind of labeled out, you know, in the spotlight as just that, and that's all that you are. And I can respect that and I understand that. There's lots of people that talk about labels and they're not a fan of labels, and some people are, and some people think it's important, but there's always like, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we talk about not labeling, but then we do a lot of labeling. So one of the things that I think would help people is to kind of, if as much as you want to share, um some of your story, and when you decided and felt, you weren't you weren't comfortable, as who you were, and just a little bit of your journey, and also I think I would like to tell everybody, want you to tell everybody what pronouns you use, because I think that that's important, because one of the things I've seen, and I don't know, and I wanted your opinion on it, because getting an opinion from the trans community on this type of subject is, important, because a lot of people go after people for accidentally misgendering someone, or say they're having like a fight on social media, or I don't know, getting bullied and something, and people don't look at people's profiles. Now, I have pronouns on mine, and I'm not trans. And I know lots of people that a lot of us are using pronouns now on our profiles. And, there's a lot of people that right away, it's like if someone misgenders somebody, they're right away saying they're transphobic. Now, what are your thoughts on that? And would you get offended if you're misgendered, or if you were misgendered, or does it depend on the context? I mean, where do you stand as far as like when people do, because I mean, as human beings, a lot of people feel it's going to happen, especially when you're not used to, you have to get used to the person, not the person that they you once knew, or they were before, or even in stranger capacity on social media. I see it happen all the time. So what are your thoughts on that first, before we get into the other?
Um, I like that cis people start to really normalize the pronouns in their bio. I think it's important because when I look at their profile, I'm gonna know what they are more comfortable with. It doesn't have to be that it doesn't have to mean they are trans, but that's the point. Um, because if only trans people do it, like it kind of we come out that way. We come out when we put our profile pronouns in our profile. So I like that everyone starts to do it. I think that I'd be sad and like feel bad when I misgendered. Um, it's going to depend. Like if I meet someone and they misgender me, I'm gonna be like, okay, my passing isn't good enough. But that's okay. I'm just gonna say, look, my pronouns are he, him. That's it. But when it's online, especially on my Instagram, because most of my posts are about me being trans, um, it's a bit different because I'm out there, I'm talking about the fact that I'm trans. Uh, so I'm starting to wonder if it's on purpose, or if they just don't know, if they're not informed well. It really depends of the situation. But I'm not rude. I'm always going to be nice when I say you're mistaking. I'm a man. My pronouns are he, him, and that's all. I'm not gonna start fighting with people for that.
Right. Well, because what that is that, like, say when you go on Twitter, I've seen arguments that ensue, and like I don't read Twitter bios. So like if we all have pronouns and we're all using them, you don't know that someone's trans. So if someone didn't look at the profile, because a lot of this time I see this happening in bullying situations, and someone's like screaming at them, and they're like, "Oh my God, you didn't know this, you didn't know that," and it's like, okay, but you don't know each other, you're strangers. And sometimes when people are arguing, you're really not, half the time when people would attack me, I really wasn't paying attention. I was busy responding. So I think you're right. I think it really depends on the situation and the context. Like if someone's right out, like your Instagram is talking about your story and your journey. So that would be a little questionable. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people would know what you're doing on your Instagram. So I think that, like you said, it's about context before we start labeling people, oh my God, you're transphobic or you're homophobic. But before we start throwing around labels, I think that and you've said this to me before, I remember when we've had these discussions, that we need to like step back and realize what the context is, and like before we start throwing labels around to people. But it is important for people to pay attention. And I think it's easy to tell when it's hate and when it's an accident. And with some, not always. Unfortunately, social media is full of hate and bullying, and that's really, really sad. But I agree with you. I think that it really depends on the content and the context. And obviously, when someone is sharing their journey, it's kind of hard to mistake that. So I agree with you there, and I appreciate the insight. I think it's important for people to hear that from someone that knows how that feels. Yeah, do you mind sharing some of your journey, like from the beginning, like, and how that was for you, to maybe give some people some insight? Because I've had people come to me before and tell me that they've had um struggling with their sexual identity and whatnot.
So I think I've always felt like it was different, but I didn't know why. Um, I I had parents who didn't mind the way I dressed or my hairstyle or my hobbies. So I was like very free to experience everything I wanted, which in a way helped me to build who I was. Um, but I think I started to ask myself why around 10, 11 years old. Um, well, basically when puberty started, and when you were born in a female body, you got your breast starting to grow, and I was like, that's not gonna work. Um, I remember my first summer when I basically spent it this way when I was in a swimsuit because I just didn't wanna, like,
Mm.
it didn't shock people. It just shocked me. I didn't want them to see that. Like, I was like, it's not supposed to be on me. So yeah, that's it. I think that's when I was like, I started to realize something maybe wasn't right. But I didn't have actual words until I was like 19. I came out when I was 19, and I spent the 6 months before my coming out just trying to understand why. I spent my days on YouTube on videos of trans guys posting their tea updates, like 1 month on tea, their voice changes, um, and I realized that that was me. I wanted that, but that took me actually a while because I used to be a big fan of Once Upon a Time, and when the writers they did this new show that only got one season, I don't remember. Wasn't it Dead of Summer or something like
Oh
this?
yeah, Dead of Summer. Yeah, one of
Yeah,
our actors, yeah, worked on that show. Maya. Yeah, yeah. I think it was just one. Yeah.
and there was this character played by Zelda Williams, and that character was trans. Her character was trans. I was like, wow, I like this is me. Um, but I didn't. That's not when. I think that's not when I understood. I think it just started to realize that it was possible. Um, so I like that, and I think from then on, I just did a lot of research, and I came out, and my mom took it pretty well. My dad had more difficulties with it because he's very close-minded. I didn't like, I didn't have any fights concerning my coming out, but I know that it's not as well taken as my mom did. Um, and then I went on with psychiatrist appointments and then endocrinologist, and I started testosterone in October 2017. So yeah, and then top surgery, which didn't go well, so I went for a second one, and now here I am.
Yeah. How did you? Was that that had to have been so difficult for you? To go do something that should have been a very proud moment and happy moment for you, and like, how did you deal with that? When the first one, I don't know how they messed up. I mean, like, what exactly happened that they put you through that?
Um, so when well, in France, you have like teams of doctors that follow trans people from the beginning to like the end or wherever they want to take their transition. And so I had one psychologist, one psychiatrist, one endocrinologist, and those two new surgeons. And the other doctors said that I had to go to these guys because they were close to home and in the team. So I went there because I'm too shy and I didn't like dare say no. I want what those guys in the south do because that's what I want. So I went on with it. I met them, and I got surgery in January 2019. And so I think I started to like ask myself questions when I kept passing out, which happens to some people. But I was like, it didn't start well at all. Like I got surgery. When I woke up, I passed out. I passed out the second time the same day. Once again the day after, and once again the day after this one. So I was like, this isn't a good start. There was so much pressure on my chest. I couldn't even like sit up. I couldn't sit down on my bed. I felt like the nurses as well and the team, the medical team wasn't so nice, except one of them. So I got some mocking as well when I was down, laying down because I couldn't stand back up because well I just passed out on the bathroom floor. And when they took out my bandages, there was some like folds. My skin was having folds on like under the armpits on both sides, which isn't supposed to happen. So I told them what is that, and they said it was just the drains because you have drains under the armpits. Wait, around there and there, so that the side just not doesn't stay in, so it goes out, and then you take it off when you go out the hospital. They say it was because of the drains, but then they said they had to do like they did what they could. Like I never had the actual reason for this. I went home after 8 days, even though it's usually like 2 days in the hospital, which I knew because I went there a second time with someone else, and I just stayed like 48 hours. So I know it's not supposed to happen the way it did.
Right.
After a week, so I go home, and they go in holidays, like both of them. They just go for their holidays while I just go home and start to send emails because it's not going well. My nipples are literally falling off. They say it's normal. Then I go to the ER because no one's really giving me the information I need. And then they say they can't do anything. I'm gonna have to put my nipple back on, put a band-aid, and just go home. So I go home and I kept my dead nipples on me for 10 days. I think it's one of the worst experiences in my life, if not the worst one. I used to be on meds that it's called tramadol. I don't know if you know about it. It's
I've heard of, yeah.
very powerful painkiller, which I used to take not because it hurt, but because I wanted to sleep and it made me sleep. So I just started a weird addiction to this one, which I stopped 2 months later. But I still miss it. The thing is, I really do miss it. It's screwed me up. And I got a friend who told me that his surgeon could help me out. So I decided to do a GoFundMe and post my photos on Instagram. And that's what helped me pay for the second surgery. Because I had to pay. I had to go in the south and meet one of the best, in my opinion, surgeons in France. And yeah, I couldn't do this for free. So I had to pay for a mistake that wasn't mine. So Instagram helped me out, so thank you too. If anyone's watching this that paid for it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, basically.
Well, that's the beautiful part of social media.
Mm-hmm.
When we say there's the hate and the anger and the the discrimination and the bigotry and the bullying side of it, there's also the beautiful side of it. And that's one of the beautiful sides of it, is that we can get help and support from people in the community that support and help the LGBTQ plus community. And that was great that you were able to do. I mean, almost angry for you and with you on the fact that they didn't have to pay for doing what they did, like get sued. I don't know how that works by you. I know here they sue for everything. They would get like malpractice, like they would have to pay a lot of money to the patient here if they do something. Like if you go to get surgery and it causes you, they did something wrong or it causes you issues, most people here in the United States will turn around and sue the doctors and most likely win. um
The thing is,
I don't know how it
people
works by.
people well, people said I should sue them, but the thing is, I had a very bad experience. Then 2 months later, well, I posted on Instagram, and somehow TV called me because they wanted to interview me and post that on their channel. And in the beginning, I said, "Oh, all right, yes." But then I got a very transphobic woman on the phone who started to ask me if I should have bottom surgery, and she started to say basically the way I should transition, even though like she's not trans, and there is no right way to do a transition. And so I was like so confused, and she asked me the name of the surgeon, and I was like, I just wanted the phone call to end, so I just told her the name, and the phone call ended. And like 12 hours later, I was like, I don't want to do this, it doesn't feel safe, so I canceled it. But that lady had time to call my surgeon, who then decided to have an appointment with me, and I had to meet her, and she wasn't happy, even though that's me who had this on me. Yeah, so it was like 1 hour of trying to let her understand that she screwed up and I didn't. So I just didn't. I didn't sue them because I didn't want to have to see their faces again. I just don't want to have to deal with them anymore. Like no. Um, but I found two other people who had the same experience with them. And since I didn't keep it quiet, I keep talking about it because it's important. And since last year, they are not allowed to operate anymore on trans
That,
people. They keep doing what they do, but not trans people anymore. So that's a
well,
win in a way. But,
yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely a win because I think they should be responsible in some form. um I can't imagine what that had been like for you or anybody having to be on a phone or in person with someone that's transphobic, especially when you're trying to do surgery and that's the person that you're supposed to be talking to. I wouldn't feel safe either. So, I mean, I'm there's just no words for that. I mean, like I said, it's a win than the fact that they can't hurt or do that to anybody else, but it's still horrific that you had to go through that, and I'm sorry. I mean, I can't imagine, but it's an important to share that story because it's important, not only the context about it, but it's important to let people know, you know to what to look for, make sure you're safe, make sure you're happy with who you're going to, and just to be safe and careful, and so it's important to share those type of stories, all of them, all the time, not just on Trans Day of Visibility. I think it's a conversation that just needs more discussion. So what are and if anybody in the room also wants to ask any questions, feel free to send us questions. Happy to answer them. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're in the room. What are some of the things that you would like people to know that are not trans about the trans community, or how they can support you and help you, and things that are they might not see as wrong or transphobic that they need to kind of be. I think it's important to educate people on those things so they know exactly. There's so many people, like I said, that just throw around labels that really aren't using them properly, and they're hurting innocent people, and then the people that are bad are getting away with it. It's like they're not. I just feel there's so much of a disconnect of education and knowledge. So I just wanted you to share some so people can understand better.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Man, it's just very complicated. I think the most important thing to do when you're cis, for example, or if you need more information, is to follow the people who are trans. They're gonna share. They keep sharing things that matter, like the thing that's going on in Arkansas, like the fact that people are denied now healthcare, um, or the representation in films, for example, which is something that I usually share because that's where I want to work, and I think it's important to have my representation, like my story, told by people like me. Um, yeah, I think it's a lot about looking for information and not waiting for information to go to you. If you're wondering something about some some subject, just go and look for it. Sometimes I see trans people a bit mad that we are asked like not stupid questions, but people like questions you can put on Google and have answer right away. Um, it kind of sometimes feels like I repeat myself, which I'm okay educating people, but yeah, sometimes it's a bit tiring, and it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I do want to give representation to my community, but I'm kind of tired answering the same questions.
Yeah, that's what I want people to know. How you all feel about, like, and what it does to you and mental health wise, that it's not that you don't want to teach people or help people learn about the trans community, but it's almost like you could also self educate. And
Yeah,
I think self education is very important. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of, life learning and always doing research and always self educating and going down rabbit holes, getting lost in like doing research and everything. So I think it's important to know and to say, your feelings, because I'm sure you speak for many when that feel that way, that I don't think people realize. They're like, oh, well, they're trans, so they're going to want to educate me and they're going to want to just, I mean, and nobody wants to do that 24/7. It's, yes, it's great. It's different if it's a friend of yours and they have a question and you know them and they're like, can I ask you a question? But even so, then it's like, if people just took the time to research and look up information and maybe buy a book or watch film, watch documentaries, and like you said, follow people they're talking about these things going on in the world and in the community constantly. And I think if we just took the time to do that, then there, it wouldn't be so. I don't think people realize that it's tiring and exhausting, so I'm glad that you said that. um
I think it's also important when you talk about the documentary. Uh, I usually don't watch them because they make me very uncomfortable and anxious. But it's important for cis people to watch them and then ask trans people what they think about it. Like to ask them if the representation is well, or if not, and if it's not, then ask more questions. Why isn't it not right? In order to understand. But it's still important to watch them because it's talking about us, and we need to talk about us. But ask questions to people, um, to trans people, and ask them if it's the right way to learn more.
Right, absolutely. Someone does have a question for you here. I have a question for Charlie. Actually, last time we talked, you were working on a film script. How has that been coming along?
There is one that I have been writing for a very long time, and there was a project with Sony Pictures. They were looking for scripts for like horror films or sci-fi things like this. No comedy because France does way too much of that. Um, so I've given back my first attempt at this, which was the title, the pitch, and what was it? And a letter like explaining my project, and it goes well for now. I'm waiting for answers. If it's good enough, then I'm gonna have to do a second step of this. Um, it's a huge opportunity because they are offering to produce a 1 million euros film, and it's huge when you have never done such a thing. it would be out in cinemas. I would be paid for it, of course. So I'm crossing my fingers. And if it's not this one, then I'm writing a second one, which is my first one in English, and it's going nowhere for now because I had to pause it to work on the first one, and I got very busy lately with school, um, projects outside of school as well, um, which is why actually my mental health is much better right now because I keep busy. I'm not just staying in my bed, which I do like my bed. I miss my bed, but yeah, it's right in front of me. I'm just like I'm coming, uh, but I like being busy because like this month was very like was so productive. Um, I got my first role in a movie, like a rather big movie. Um, I got I got to direct a music video. I got I got a lot of stuff coming, and I'm very glad. So that's a good thing.
That's awesome. I'm so happy. I mean, I knew about it because we talk outside of this, but I'm just saying, I think that's great. I think it's also important to see that, there's you're just like everybody else. You want to live your life, you want to work in the industry that you want to work in. Now, I do want to ask you, do you want to tell your stories like for the trans community? Do you plan on doing that with your film at all, or do you kind of just want to stay in what, like, I know that you're big on, you wanting to be seen just for you. So like
Yeah.
do you think about that at all, of trying to make sure that there's more representation and telling those stories at all in any form of like documentary type or just a script that's not, just a movie?
Yeah.
Do you plan on or want to do that in the future?
Um, so for now, as an actor first, my biggest opportunities are to audition for trans roles, which I would say sadly because it means that I don't have much chances to play cis people for now. Even though it's what I want to do, I just want to play characters. But since for now, trans characters are not really where they should be. When they cast people for such a role, I'm there. Take me, because I think it's important, yeah, to say like to tell my story with people like me. I mean, if you want to say when you start talking about trans community, just put the trans community in it, because we need jobs and we don't have any, and that's the one that we could have. So give it to us. And as a screenwriter, I'm actually the movie that I'm writing in English has a main character that is trans. Not it's not the main subject of the movie, but it is there. It's there because we are here, and I don't want to write movies with trans people in it all the time, but I think I'm gonna do it at some point. I don't like documentaries much. I like fiction more, so I'm gonna write fictions and I'm gonna put trans people in it because yeah, that's what I want to do. But I'm not gonna do that always.
Okay. Yeah, so you're gonna just, look, when I like to write things that are gonna touch people in some way. And I also like to tell stories. So you like to do both, and I think that that's
Yeah.
great and important. It's you're diverse, and that's so important, especially in that field. Ash Nicole is asking, how should trans characters be represented in scripts?
So it's a bit complicated because in in movies they are usually going to express the character's dead name, for example, or show them as their old self, which isn't their true identity. And this is something we want to avoid if it's not 100% necessary. So when you're writing a script, you have to write papers with each characters, like their physical aspect, psychological one, what they do for a living, their relationships. You have to write all of this for each character. Um, and if it's not important, just don't say their dead name because that's not who they are. Um, it's the first big mistake that screenwriters do when they are not. informed, well on the way to write. Um, it's very. I think if you want to write, if even if you're a cis person, if you want to write a story with the trans character, write it with someone who's trans. Just ask someone, hire them, say, look, I'm writing a film about your community. Please help me write it the right way. Tell me if this is wrong, if this is right, where to go from that. Um, yeah, I think there is no right way to write a script with a trans character in it, but there's definitely wrong ways. So it's all about asking people if it's right or wrong.
Right. Okay, so Nina has said she has seen some movies and TV shows with trans, but they weren't trans in real life, and she likes it to be real. And then, I don't know, resume. I'm not sure if I said that wrong. I'm sorry if I messed it up. Trans people are out, siblings, friends, uncles, etc. I agree that it is important that they are just seen and exist in a creation.
Absolutely, and I think I'm all about acting like you when you act you play a character. It's okay if it's not who you are. I mean that's the whole point of acting. But when it comes to trans people, we don't have jobs. We the industry, the cinema industry is a great, but it's a weird one in the way that we are still having a very big like a complicated relationship with gay actors, for example. It's still hard to hire gay people. Um, so it's even harder to hire trans people somehow. I don't know why. I don't actually understand. It's just really confusing to me to even think about that. But since it's the only way for now to have jobs, then I think we should be playing a trans person. If I don't play a trans person, then I'm not gonna play at all. Um, for example, when you just come out, and if you want to be like me, auntie, but you're not auntie yet, you have like a very bad passing sometimes. So you're not gonna have the female character, but you're not gonna have the male one either. So you're just there. You want to act, but you don't have what it takes physically to be one or the other.
Mm.
Um, so that's what a casting director is not going to look for. Um, and then when you're like me, you're like 3 years on T and you're 23, but you still look 17, and they're casting adult people, and you don't go in this like category, so you're still not getting the job. Um, yeah, I mean, for now, the only thing that I can do is having a trans role, so that's what I'm going for. And I agree, we need to be represented. Even though I hope one day we arrive to a point where everyone has the same jobs, there is no judgment, and everyone can act. But we're not there yet, so we have to
Yeah.
try.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you ever, I mean, I'm sure you have, but is there anything that sticks out as far as online or offline bullying and hate that you've gotten? Because you've obviously had support from home, it seems like you've had a pretty good support at home. Is there anybody, like friends wise or, online or offline, where you've had to deal with, bullying or any, hope, any violence or anything in regards to bullying or cyberbullying
Uh,
or that?
I came on Instagram in 2013, and the first thing that I did for 6 years, five more. I used to have an editing account for a show called Once Upon a Time, which like it was well, just I love editing. I miss it. Uh, um, it's just that when I came out, I was very open. Like people had known me for 3 years under one particular name. And I came out and I said, look, now this is Charlie, this is he, him pronouns. It went pretty well, but then when you go into some dramas, and this fandom is very toxic, so sometimes people used to just throw my dead name around. There is this thing called anonymous or something like this, when you can tell anonym. I think that's the name. When you can just tell someone anonymously things. which I used to do on this account because sometimes people are scared to ask trans questions. So I'm just like, sometimes I'm gonna put the link in my bio and just like, if you want to ask something and you're too scared, just go on it. But what I used to do on this editing account was I don't know. I don't even know now why I used to have it on my links. But people used to use my dead name on it and call me names. So I think that's the biggest part of bullying that I got was from that time. Now it's pretty rare. Actually, I'm lucky because I don't have much of it. Sometimes maybe I'm gonna have one comment and it's not gonna do anything to me. But I do remember once. I think that's when I posted the first pictures of my chest. Someone called me Frankenstein, which is weird because they didn't actually understand it's the doctor's name, not the monster. But I do understand what they meant by that, and I think that's what hurt me most because I was like, okay, so he's comparing me to a monster because that's what he sees on the pictures. Um, I think that's the one comment that stays in my head all the time. When someone says, "Did you get bullied online?" It's the Frankenstein comment that comes up.
Yeah, that's horrible and horrific to say to anyone, and I don't understand how people behave in such a way online or offline.
Yeah.
I tend to see that people don't have the guts as much offline to do the things that they do online. Unfortunately, we hear of the violence in the LGBTQ community, especially the trans community, of the violence that you hear that happens offline. And that seems to be the answer because they don't have they're afraid. They don't, people are afraid of what they don't know, and they're bigoted and they're hateful, and that's coming from how they grew up. Sorry, my phone was ringing. It came from how they grew up or whatever they were taught, or they have something going on inside them. And it's heartbreaking to hear those stories because there's just so many lives lost in the trans community. And every time you see it, it's just like, do you at all, and then there's a question, but do you at all, you don't at all feel like I know a lot of people have said that they feel like they have to live in fear of somebody constantly like jumping them or making comments, or because offline it's really scarier than just keyboard warriors.
Yeah, offline it's scary. I think it's more like when well, I stopped school. I used to be in. I used to try for an English degree when I came out, and I stopped because well, I didn't want to transition at university, and also because I didn't like people around. I didn't feel safe around them, and I also wanted to I wanted to make movies, and I think that if I come out and say, "Hey, here is who I really am," then I should also pursue the dreams that I have. So I just quit school, and I transitioned, and then I went back to school, and that's when I went back to school after 2 years of transitioning. And I was like, I'm scared because first first they're just gonna see me as the regular kind of gay looking guy, which I didn't mind. But then some people might find my Instagram and be like, "Oh, he's trans." Um, so I was a bit scared also because sometimes I'm being misgendered by strangers. I'm a bit sad that after 3 years, sometimes I get called she or miss. But I don't really care anymore. It's more like I think like okay, they must be like blind. I don't know. Like I'm not a miss. um, and I
Yeah,
think now,
Your Instagram is pretty obvious. I mean, like, so for somebody doing that, you have to think that is it on purpose? Because Instagram, like I said, all these social media apps are different. And like I said, context matters. If it's like a stranger that never looked at your Instagram and maybe on Twitter, like, it's like, I think it, like I said, it's just, there's so many different situations to where, like you said earlier, it's not, it can happen innocently and then it can happen maliciously. Like when people know a person or they know that that person is, or it's obvious, and they're still having issues. And that's just really, yes, we need to leave room for people to be human and make mistakes, but when it's malicious intent, you could always tell. It's not, oh, oops. It's like, I mean, you really can't miss it when someone's pretty much
Yeah.
sharing their journey on their Instagram and you're on their Instagram. um,
I think
I,
also it's just that I used to have a pin with the trans flag on my pencil case, and there was people just chatting around and be like, "Do you think Charlie's trans?" Because I mean, he got the flag on his pencil case. Um, and it went on for like 6 months for some of them, and then they started to ask questions about if they were using the right pronouns. But I mean, we've been friends for 6 months. I think I would have told you. I also don't like when people go around and ask each other questions about me. I mean, I'm 23. I think yeah, they were the same age. Just come ask me. It's okay. I mean, there is no stupid questions. Ask me if I got the trans flag on my pencil case to support trans people, if I'm trans, and ask me if I want to talk about it. If I don't want, then let's move on. But it's just like people found out one way or another. Even especially when you put that on social medias, it's just that I like to talk about. I'm okay with talking about it. When people say talk, I'm just like, yeah, I'm trans. It's fine. Just don't talk to others like I'm not there. Just ask me. It's fine.
well, I mean, absolutely. I don't think anybody should talk to anybody like they're not there, but especially, that's ridiculous. There's no need for that. I mean, I always feel like you said, there's no stupid question, and I'd rather a person ask questions than just get it wrong and not care. I
Yeah.
think if somebody's asking the questions, they're wanting to learn and willing to learn, but at the same time, like you said, they need to also self-educate. So I think that's also important. So you're not exhausting, the people in the community in any type of, community. You're not exhausting people by not doing anything on your part to, gain knowledge and education on the subject that you want to be part of. Someone asked, what can we do to advocate for you? How can we show our support for you and the community?
Um, Sharing post online is a very huge thing, especially when you've got like petitions to sign. Uh, I don't know, like things to share to help, like helping top surgery GoFundMe. Sometimes, if you have the money, if you want to do help, and if you can, just giving even like $2 to someone, like $2 every month to a different one. Even like I've been there. Even someone sharing the post saying, "Look, there is this guy. He wants top surgery. I can't help, but if you can, just go for it." It goes a long way. I do appreciate, and everyone does, um, to see that cis people share. Um, just don't skip the story. Just don't ignore things when something bad happens. Even when something good happens for the trans community, share it. It's important. Some people have never heard of it. Some people have never read anything about this. So if you're gonna share it, they're gonna read it. They're gonna be like, "Wow, I didn't know. Now I know," and then they're gonna share as well. And it's a lot about, by sharing, you're educating someone else, and I think that's what you have to do.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that it's important to hear the voices, to tell, for people to know what they can do and how they can support, because, you want this, you want the support, and it's better to not just, like you said, do whatever and really, try to either research or ask, what can I do to help you? And I think that that's a very important question, and I think that that's a good thing that people can do in starting to do that, is say, I see you, I hear you, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
um Rather than saying, asking a bunch of questions, it's like, what can I do for you? So I think that's, like I said, context matters. So
Yeah.
um as we're wrapping up, because we're coming up on the hour, is there any other arena that you wanted to talk about and discuss? I know there's a lot of things going on politically, and I know that you're
Yeah.
passionate about those. as far as trans rights and all that. So is there anything that you want to discuss or, bring to the forefront?
I'm gonna tell everyone what I told you, I think a few weeks ago, when we were on Clubhouse, is that when someone trans is going through struggles like mental health issues, like I did a few months ago, don't um, don't go and think that it's because they're trans. Like everyone goes through things, like especially right now, since more than a year now. Um, we are like everyone else. I'm trans, but that's not why I felt that way a few months ago. It's not why I needed counseling or more than that. I do have other problems. It's not even being trans now is not even one of my problems. I'm done with it. That's who I am, but that's not why I felt bad. Um, so yeah, when you see someone, just don't go and think that if they are not doing well, it's because they are trans. It can be that. Ask people what's wrong, and if they wanna talk about it, then they're gonna tell you what's wrong. Um, but I think it's important for trans people to be treated like everyone else. It's what we want. We want equality. So it goes in every kind of subject, mental health included, and I think that's what I want to say, because I see so many people thinking that I'm feeling the way I feel because I'm trans, and that's not right. That's not why. Um, and it's important for people to know that.
It is, and I think that that's hugely vital that you brought that up because it's true. You know, assuming our mental health is based on one thing is ridiculous for anybody. But like, it's always important to ask, how are you doing, what's wrong? I mean, that's always what I ask people. I don't assume, like, that's like me going to my gay friends or my bisexual friends or my trans like, like, what's wrong today? Is it because you're gay? You know what I mean? Like, that's just that's that's not how, you go about asking someone if they're okay, or assuming that their mental health problems is connected to that. Like, did you have a bad gay day today? Like, that's basically how it comes across. So it's like, I understand, and I think that's what everybody needs to understand, is that all of us are human. We're all humanly built the same. We all bleed the same. We go through the same types of emotions, and it's just about seeing each other all as human beings and not categorizing so much. Basically, like you said, equality, and not,
Yeah.
so much putting people into these boxes, like, these boxes that have to be separated out, and then it's like, oh, you have a problem, it must be related to that. And mental health is such a wide array of things going on with mental health. There's so many things going on in our lives, a pandemic, jobs, relationships, friendships, family. There's so many things going on. To assume that everything is related to that part of your life, I completely understand why you would want to get that message out there, and I think it's an important one. So thank you for sharing that. Um, I don't want Instagram to kick us off. So I want to thank you so much for coming on and speaking today on Trans Day of Visibility. I'm so happy to have you on and be able to, bring some more understanding to the community and help people watching this and who are going to watch it after, know some things, not only about you, but about how, your thoughts on things and what things people should or shouldn't do, and you know some more knowledge and education, but that they can take further into self-educating themselves, rather than just constantly always asking. So and you guys follow Charlie. Awesome, amazing, incredible person, inspiring, just gonna be famous one day. Also, just doing amazing work in screenwriting and acting, and just watch his journey. And you could also catch him on our clubhouse rooms. He
Yeah.
comes in all the time, and I will have him on again because I adore him and love him, and he's just amazing. So I will have him on again. You will see him again. And now I'm gonna let you go to your bed because I know you probably want to go to your bed.
Yeah.
But thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming
Thank you
on.
for having me. It was like, I love what you do, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your support 100%. And you have my full support as well. And we will do this again soon. And I hope everybody got something out of this today. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.